Absurd. The dictionary defines it as wildly unreasonable, as illogical. So if something is absurd, then we would describe it as foolish, or ridiculous, laughable, idiotic, insane, stupid. And while most of us admire those who serve, who put others first, who care about those around them regardless of what they can get in return, and if we're honest, the idea of serving seems a bit absurd.
Hello, there I am. Moms and dads, on behalf of your students, first of all, you are unbelievable moms and dads. To have the kind of kids that you have, for me to be able to hang out with them has been unbelievable. And students, I think in our country, for a group of parents to be gathered because they're concerned, first of all, you have reason for concern because Brett Eddy is one of your leaders, so that makes sense. If you saw him dancing, you should be concerned because he is doing the white race a horrible, horrible disservice. But on behalf of you guys, teenagers, the fact that your parents are here is unbelievable. They deserve your applause and accolades and encouragement. Unbelievable. And as you can tell, because of what Colin Brett said, we've been talking about this idea of what it means to live an absurd life. If you think about it, being selfless is an absurd thought. We live in a culture that is so incredibly narcissistic. In fact, one of the things that we explored this morning, both in Leland and then this afternoon in Wilmington, is this idea that if there was no God, if it was proven to all of us in this room that God didn't exist, then one of the first and primary things that all of us in this room would do was become unbelievably narcissistic and selfish. So if you've ever wondered, mom and dad, if you've ever wondered, high school student and middle school student, why you have neighbors, classmates, teammates, work associates, loved ones, family members that are so incredibly selfish and narcissistic, and they can't think beyond themselves, perhaps we should all consider they just live as if there is no God. And if we get honest, it's really easy for all of us in this room, young and old, even those of us who have a relationship with Jesus, to slip into that as well. It's so easy for us to become unbelievably selfish. So this idea of absurdity, absurd defined as being wildly unreasonable and illogical, in our culture, for teenagers, parents, let's be honest, most of us in this room, when we were having children, first of all, we didn't think that hard about having kids. Teenagers, we're just gonna let you know, we didn't prepare that well. We just fell in love. The men went, "You're hot." The women said, "You're okay." And then we had children. But along the way, this is what happened. We realized this is a very, very difficult battle. And your mom and dad are here, students, and parents, your students are here because fighting against self is the hardest battle in the world. But to have a relationship with Jesus means that we have his spirit dwelling inside of us. We have a relationship with the creator of the universe who has shown us absurd love, that he would give himself for us, that he would die for us, that he would live a life that we can hopefully put our footsteps in line with. And if you miss that, then you're in trouble. And I think our culture is, and that's why there's hope in this room. My wife and I are fresh off of one entire week at the beach with 8 high school girls living in our house, okay, for the week. Our daughters invited their friends, an entire week, 7 straight days at the beach. I was the only male in the house. I was swimming in the estrogen ocean. It was awful. But to be around these girls, many of whom don't have parents that are concerned at all about their spiritual welfare. It was an unbelievable week for me. I learned so much about myself, about my wife, about my daughters, and about students who haven't heard the claims of Jesus. In fact, coming off of that, can y'all throw that first slide up on the screen? My wife and I were having a conversation. No, that's completely the wrong thing. That's tomorrow's talk. I don't know what's up with that. And that's okay. But we were having this conversation, and I was talking to her about this idea that when you and I act on false assumptions, you get to a scary place. Think about that for just a second. When you and I act on an assumption that is not true, you get to a really, really scary place. For example, Brett Eddy a few minutes ago heard the song Beat It by Michael Jackson, and he acted on it and started dancing. He made a false assumption that he has rhythm. What you and I saw was scary. My friend Jay invited me to play golf with him one day. And what if I falsely assumed I am Jordan Spieth, the second coming? Which means I fall apart all the time. No, all right, no. What if I assume I'm an incredible golfer and I act on it? Then Jay would be miserable the entire 5 hours of us looking for balls in the woods. And it's the same thing that a lot of us do with our relationship with Jesus, and even more importantly, people that don't have a relationship with him. We make this assumption. Right, adults, some of you are uncomfortable, and I watched because I was standing in the back. Some of you are uncomfortable with the fact, and it's strictly because you're older or you didn't grow up like this, but we're playing a song, and kids are jumping up and down and dancing, and it kind of like took line dancing into the church, and some of you are like, they shouldn't be doing this. And so here's how you acted on that false assumption, because by the way, you're gonna be unbelievably uncomfortable in heaven if you thought that was a bad deal. You sat there with your arms folded, and maybe it was because you just don't have rhythm, and maybe it was because you didn't come here to do calisthenics, I get that, but that's a scary place. Here's another one. What if you and I falsely assume that all we have to do is nice, good things for people, and somehow, some way, they'll figure out that the reason why we're doing it is God, and we act on it, and the in-between is scary. It looks like this. We're sitting having this conversation, and I drew this out on a napkin for my wife. When you have a false assumption and you act on it, you get to a scary place. And if I may, as a parent of teenagers, students and adults, one of the scariest places that we've gotten to in our culture, and one of the reasons why I love what Chris and Kyle and Brett have set up this weekend, is that this assumption that the world is an incredibly dangerous place, which we all agree to. The world is an unbelievable, dangerous, temptation to our students, which we all agree. And so consequently, we make that assumption, and this is the way we act on it as people, teenagers and adults, as parents and students. What we're gonna do is we're gonna separate ourselves from culture. And the result is incredibly scary and dangerous. It's very difficult to have that false assumption in our culture and live an absolute absurd life. I have the fortune or misfortune of traveling quite a bit. Several years ago, and some of you may have heard me talk about this before, I spoke at a camp in Durango, Colorado. Okay, Durango is the inspiration for, oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, okay? There is not much in Durango, Colorado. And one of the worst parts of traveling and speaking is that oftentimes I have to eat by myself. It's a very lonely place to be. I'm not trying to beg for your sympathy, but it's just true. And I've learned how to take the Wall Street Journal into breakfast and act like I know how much money I'm not making, okay? So, this one particular day, I'm in Durango, Colorado. I have to have breakfast by myself. It's totally humiliating teenagers to walk in and the hostess goes, "How many?" And you're like, somebody, right? That's me. So she sits me down. I'm pretty sure this used to be like a Shoney's, but now it's like Earl's Grease and Guttery, okay? It's just awful. And I sit down by myself at a table, and she pours me a hot cup of coffee, and behind me is a table that seats 8. And these 4 couples come in and sit down behind me. And as they're sitting down, the lady that's sitting down right behind me, now remember, we're in Durango, Colorado. When she scoots her seat back, as I'm sipping coffee, she hits me. And like I spill coffee all over me, and it is hot. And so I turned around to get her insurance information because I'm upset. And I knew immediately she wasn't from Colorado, because what came out of her mouth is, "Oh God, I am so sorry." You know, it was like, did I just step into the set of Gone with the Wind? I mean, it was, well, fiddly-dee, I didn't mean to do that, you know? And so she begins to beg my forgiveness. "I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Would you," and I'm like, "Ma'am, it's really not that big of a deal." She goes, "Honey, are you sitting by yourself? Are you having breakfast? Why don't you come and sit with us?" And so I'm the fool. Students, don't do this. Stranger danger. I'm like, okay. So I turn my seat around, scoot up between these 8 people, 4 couples, and I do what I normally do in a setting like that. I look for the exits, and I want to make sure, how do I get out of here fast? No, I just start asking questions. Long story short, I had scooted up at the table of 4 couples of 6 couples who used to live in a southern metropolitan city in south of the Mason-Dixon line. All of them had teenagers. They started assuming our culture is too dangerous, the temptation is too much. They found out why I was there, and they suddenly became the most, "Oh my, you know Jesus? We know Jesus. Let us tell you our story." They had all gone together, bought a parcel of land out in the middle of nowhere in Durango, and built basically a commune. And they all moved out there, built houses, homeschooling their children. I'm not against homeschooling, but they just decided, we're gonna remove ourselves from culture. The conversation got really dicey when I asked if David Koresh was their leader, okay? Only the adults know who that is. By the way, never trust anyone who claims to be Jesus and wears bifocals. But anyway, heal yourself, dude. But I thank them for letting me be there, and I can remember walking out to my car emotional, because Kelly and I had just had our first child, a son, and we're battling with this idea as moms and dads. How are we going to raise our kids? Because students, your mom and dad are constantly going, are we doing the right thing? But I just had this overwhelming thought. If everybody who knows Jesus runs to the hills, who's going to influence the world? And if all we do, as incredible as it is paint houses and make meals, and your friends at your school, your classmates and teammates don't know that there is this person, Jesus, who really lived, who really died, and how incredible is this? He really rose from the dead. And he changes us. Psst. And to live that way, moms and dads, students, is absurd. And I think part of the reason why we've gotten there is because we've either made a false assumption or we've made a false declaration about people who don't have a relationship with Jesus. Because we assume, in fact, hopefully our slides are good now. We assume, if we can go to the next one, we assume or we view friends who don't follow Jesus as wrong. But here's what Jesus said, mom and dad. Here's what Jesus said, middle school student, high school student, about your friends, adults, about our friends. Jesus didn't say, I came to seek and save everybody that's wrong. Jesus said, I came to seek and save. In fact, Jesus, next slide, Jesus viewed them as lost or blind. And I want us to wrestle with this tonight. If someone is wrong, how do you respond to somebody that's wrong? Think about that for just a second. If someone were wrong, how do you respond to them? Here's what I would submit, next slide. When somebody is wrong, we try to correct them. When someone is wrong, we try to correct them. When someone is wrong, what motivates us more than anything else, guys and girls, moms and dads, is for us to be right. You're wrong, I need to be right. You're wrong, I need to correct you. But watch, and this is a subtle but ginormous correction in our assumptions. What if we started seeing our friends as lost? As blind? If I can ask the same question, if someone is blind or if someone is lost, how would you respond? See, when you're blind, you want to guide them. When you're blind, you want to love them. When you're blind, you want them to be safe. And that's where our lack of absurdity comes in. Because I'm convinced as an adult, I'm convinced as a parent, and I'm convinced for you as teenagers, that we see everybody around us who doesn't act like us, think like us, go to church on Wednesday, go to church on Sunday. We don't see them as lost or blind. We tend to see them as wrong. And in thinking about this, talking about this with Kyle and Brett and Chris, one of the things that I have really been struggling with this for about 3 weeks. How do you talk? How do you teach? How do you redirect? How do you repurpose that idea? And so here's what I want to do tonight. If we can turn all the house lights up. This is an impossible thing for me to stand up here and talk about. And so here's what I'm going to do. I want to allow you to watch this play itself out. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that this will be really uncomfortable for some of us, and for some of us, it may be the most enlightening, eye-opening thing. Because for parents in this room, here's what I'm praying, that you would start seeing your home and your mission with your children and your children's friends and peers differently than, well, they're all wrong and we need to help them. As opposed to, they're blind and we need to guide them. I'm sitting in a house full of 8 teenagers, 2 of them being our daughters, and it was very obvious very quickly that 6 of those girls didn't have a clue about Jesus. And you know what I spent the entire week doing? Preaching at them and scolding them. No, you know why? Because I kind of wanted them to stay in my house. So here's what I'd like to do. This is going to get fun. I need a volunteer. Chill. And luckily for you, I've chosen someone else. So, is there a high school girl named Jeanette here? Oh, Jeanette, you are here. Would you be willing to help me? Awesome, okay. Jeanette, y'all give Jeanette a hand. Let her come on up here. You can stand right here. Just stand right here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, Jeanette. You've got that little, hello. I'm Jeanette and I'm here and you're welcome. All right, so here's what I want you to do, okay? You'll see my friend Sassafras over there, okay? Sass has in his hand a blindfold, okay? And he's going to blindfold you. take you out in the parking lot and beat the, no, all right, he's gonna take you, he's gonna blindfold you, he's gonna take you out so you cannot hear me, okay? Now here's the deal. He's gonna bring you back inside the doors at some point. And when he brings you back inside the doors, he's gonna let go of you. And all I need you to do is exactly what you hear you're supposed to do. Okay? You willing to do it? Yes, sir. All right. Jeanette, tell me where you go to school. you're Coastal Christian. All right, that's awesome. Yay, God, Jesus, Spirit sprinkles. All right, good. All right. So let's give Jeanette a hand as she goes, okay? So, Chris, here's the deal. Make sure she can get out so she cannot hear. All right, buddy, thank you. Today, Junior, I need to talk to these people. We good? All right, now, everybody else, listen. Here's the most important part of tonight. And aren't we gonna be able to put her up on the screen? Okay, when she comes back in the door, I want every single person in this room, young and old, it does not matter who you are, do not sit there like you've been baptized in acid, okay? Here's the deal. When she walks back in, as loud as you can, as long as you can, I want you to think right now of some command you want to tell her. It can be the most ludicrous thing in the world. It could be slap Chris Sasser in the face. It could be, in Jesus' name. It could be run laps around, it could be go up in the balcony. But I want you to think of a command, and here's the most important part. I cannot stress this enough. You have to yell it loud and long, and you have to watch her. Because what she does is the lesson. Okay, everybody understand? Okay, adults, are y'all with me? Y'all are looking like, I don't want to be here. Okay, all right. Now, as soon as I say go, you go crazy. Everybody understand what you're doing? You can watch her, we'll put her up here, is that right? Do we have her on? Okay, we gotta have her on the camera? Okay, good. When I say now, you go crazy. I know my mic is rubbing on my face. Now! Louder! 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 Okay, stop. Let's take her back out. Give Jeanette a big hand. Give her a hand. All right, talk to me. No. All weekend long, adults, all weekend long. I love middle school boys. They're just so literal. Talk to me. Hello, Stuart. How are you? Dude, chill out, Ricky Raccoon. All right. Now listen. What did you notice? Somebody raise your hand and tell me, this is what I noticed. Yes, right there. Yeah, you. That just turned around. Stand up and say it loud. Yes. Okay, she didn't do anything. Okay, yes. What was the girl in front of you? What were you going to say the same thing? Say it louder. She didn't do anything that any of you said. Why do you think she didn't do anything? Yes, ma'am. Why was she confused? Yes. It was too loud. We've been louder. You go to a Bieber concert, it'd have been louder, okay? Because he's a cute little girl. Yeah. Okay, it sounded like a car crash, but what do you mean by that? Because you're onto something. It's loud and obnoxious. Yes, ma'am. It was too overwhelming. What do you mean by that? Right. Isn't it interesting that there were so many people telling her what to do and she did nothing? There were so many people telling her what to do, yet she did nothing. Psst. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be lost as a teenager, you just watched it. See, some of our friends, you get frustrated. You call it apathy. Can I tell you what I call it? They're overwhelmed. And let me tell you why they're overwhelmed. They live in a culture, students and adults, where there are 9 billion voices trying to tell them what to do. Go this direction, take this, smoke this, drink this, be with him, be with her. Go here, go there, join that, don't join that. Why them? Maybe them. And there's so many voices that they decide to do nothing. Jeanette has no idea what we're doing. She's clueless. There's only one other person in this room that knows what we're doing. It's Tila. Because before we started, I brought Tila in here and I said, Tila, here's what I want you to do. When everybody else is yelling an instruction, I want you to yell this instruction to Jeanette. Scream at her as loud as you can. Walk to the front and give Stuart a hug. But guess what, moms and dads, students? Jeanette couldn't hear her because Tila's just another voice in the crowd. Just like us thinking, well, just come to my church. Tila represents the gospel. And Jeanette can't hear because Tila's not close to her. And this is the scariest thing for you as a teenager and for us as parents. Because your students, mom and dad, have peers, classmates, and teammates all around them who are lost spiritually. They are blind. And we're either going to remove them or raise them in a way where they can love that kid and be in it, but not like it. To love them. To love them. And if you don't think loving them changes things, watch what happens this time. This time, Tila, if you'll get up, I want you to go and stand over there by the fire hydrant. When she walks in, you can't touch her, but you can be in her ear talking to her, okay? Giving her the same instruction. I need an antagonist. I need someone that can be, yeah, dude, you look like a good devil. Come here, okay? Okay, hold on. He's like gladly going, yes, okay. Here's the thing. You're trying to convince her, you're gonna be on the other side of her. You convince her not to do what Tila's saying, okay? You can't touch her. Okay, you are really antsy about doing this, all right? Okay, and go ahead. And then here's the thing. You only have to do this twice more. Same thing, as loud as you can, as long as you can, and watch her, okay? Watch her. All right, watch this. Take that off the screen. On my now. Who knew that Satan wore basketball shorts? Now! Louder! Okay, stop! Stop. Chris, take her out. Y'all give her a big hand. Be still, Jeanette. You'll run into something. Silly superstition. All right, what was different? She walked, but why did she walk? Yes. Somebody told her to? Yeah, what did you? They were closer. They were closer. And did you notice this? Did you notice? She started moving. And the reason why she started moving is that there was someone telling her what to do, but she would stop. And she'd want to go the other way because there was somebody else telling her to do the exact opposite. Because it's not enough for us to just be close. You and I have this ability as people of Easter, of the resurrection. The Spirit of God living inside of us allows us to touch people in a way spiritually that nobody else can. So watch what happens this time. Tila, you can touch her. You can take her by the arm. Satan, you can't touch her, okay? You can't touch her. Like MC Hammer, you can't touch this, okay? You guys, last time, as loud as you can, as long as you can, watch her. Jeanette has gone to McDonald's. Now. Louder! All right, you take your blindfold off. I want you to come up here with me. Okay. Hey, y'all give Tila and the devil a hand. All right, so you're going to have to talk loud because I don't. Oh, look. Thank you. It's like the Oprah show. Hold that. So you and I don't think we've ever met, have we?
Don't think so.
Is this thing on, Carson? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Lick? Did you say lick it? Hello, 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 hello. All right, we'll work it. So we've never met.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. You and I have never met.
No, sir.
So you go out the first time. You would come out here. Thank you, pretty boy. Remember, girls, what Daniel said. He was without physical defect. All right? And handsome. So we haven't met. You go outside the first time. You're blindfolded. And then you come back in. What did you think? I want to know what was going through your mind.
The first time?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was just kind of mass chaos in here.
So what did you hear?
Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, all at once.
So you heard everybody, but why didn't you do anything?
You can't decipher between the voices when everyone speaks so loudly.
Say that one more time.
You can't decipher between the voices when everyone speaks so loudly. It's like when you're in math class. My math class.
So your math class is
Second period.
really disciplined? Okay. So you couldn't decipher between the voices because everybody was talking at once.
Yes, sir.
So you go back out. The second time, something seemed to be different. What was different the second time as opposed to the first time?
A few of the voices were closer and more like friends or family that.
Okay, hold on a second. So could you hear everybody else?
Absolutely.
You could hear everybody else, but you heard two voices close to you. And then you made this comment. You just said, friends or family. Did you recognize one of the voices even though you couldn't see?
Was one of them Sass?
No. One of them wasn't Sass. It was Beelzebub right there. That's interesting. But you started moving. Why did you move?
I figured one of them was right.
Okay. And why did you think the one that you trusted was right?
He sounded like he knew what he was talking about.
Okay. All right. So the third time you came in, you didn't hesitate. Why didn't you hesitate? Why did you follow that person that was touching you?
Well, she grabbed my arm and kind of pulled me along, and
Okay, let me stop you. When she grabbed you and she was talking to you, did you recognize her voice?
yeah,
Who was it?
Maddie.
Who?
Was it Tila?
Yeah.
It felt kind of like my mom. My mom does that
It
too.
sounded like your mom. That's even better. But it was Tila,
Yeah,
and you recognized her voice, and you trusted the voice that you recognized,
yeah.
and then she starts leading you, and you didn't seem to hesitate. You just went with her. Now, I want to ask you a couple of personal questions. Do you and Tila have a relationship with each other?
Oh, yes, sir.
And do you have a relationship that goes beyond the surface?
Absolutely.
How come?
She's one of the ones I go to when I need help.
So you and her talk about stuff that's beyond the surface.
Absolutely.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tila's your small group leader.
That's right.
So parents, if you don't think small group leaders are important, Tila's your small group leader. Even though at one point you thought she was Maddie or Sasser. What kind of voice were you using? Hello, go with me. She doesn't look anything like Fred Flintstone. So you trusted her, but you trusted her why?
Because I knew her voice.
And I'm assuming, and I'm not trying to lead the witness, but I'm assuming because she's invested in you that you trusted her.
Absolutely.
Has there ever been a time in your life where your conversation with Tila changed some things?
There was. Yeah.
Can you talk about that at all, or would you rather not share?
I don't mind.
Okay.
I had an eating disorder and stuff like that, and she was the one I went to when I just didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you were at your lowest point, I would assume, and I don't want you to get upset, so don't get upset, because I didn't even know that, but that's incredible. And here. No, use my sleeve. I was trying to wipe your... We're not doing some cool handshake. I was trying to be kind. But when you were at that place, you went to her.
Absolutely.
And she prayed for you,
She did.
spent time with you.
In small group and stuff. I was super busy then, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She loved you. I want to say something in front of everybody. You just preached the most powerful sermon any of us will see this year. And I want to thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's okay. Y'all give her a hand. Thank you. But Stuart, this is hard. Right, students? Because it's a whole lot easier to paint houses and feed people that are hungry. It's a whole lot easier if we get honest. Fixing up bicycles than diving in the mess of our friends who are not wrong, lost, blind. They need a God. They need someone that'll help. And moms and dads, if I could implore anything of you tonight, may our homes be places where kids who are blind spiritually feel welcomed and safe. The party for the lost kid should be at your house. Not because you're trying to correct them, because you want them to be safe and you want them to get where it is that God intended them to get to, the person of Jesus. And before you think that this ask is way too far and way too difficult, let me remind you of what Jesus told those listening to him on the side of a hill. Maybe the greatest utterances that Jesus spoke. At that point in Israel, under Roman oppression, it was law that if a Roman soldier commanded you to carry his pack, you were obligated by law to carry it 1 mile. And Jesus, speaking in the Sermon on the Mount, said these words. He said, if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. If someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. Adults, you and I grew up in a time, for those of us that were raised in church, where everybody in the world expected all the Christians who love Jesus to knock on your door and go, if you were to die tonight, where would you go? Nobody expected us to love. Students, all of your friends, when there's an event at the church, expect you to hand them a flyer or invite them. You know what they don't expect? For you to love. Because that would be absurd. Jesus, here's what I ask for us tonight. That we would learn a lesson from Jeanette and Tila. I am so grateful, God, for a small group leader who is willing to go the extra mile at a point in Jeanette's life when she desperately needed a friend, somebody to talk to. Tila was there. She could have just done what was required, but she did what love required of her. That kind of love is absurd. And so for the next few moments, as we sing to you, as we declare things to you, maybe if some of us even in this room, Jesus, are burdened by the fact that we've made a false assumption and acted on it, and in many ways we've become spiritually scary. Some of us may need to simply confess that we're scared to death of this culture, but we're more in love with you than we are fearful. And we all recognize, Jesus, that you are the only hope and the greatest need of students in the greater Wilmington area, in Leland, in Jacksonville, in New Bern. Dear Jesus, please, make us absurd. Make us absurd. And thank you that you loved us that way.